Hello. Oh, I haven't talked yet. Hello, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Debate Bates.
Debate Bates? This is why I do the introductions, Nathan. Alright. Nathan, you want to continue?
Yes, I am Nathan Poplin, and this is my stud muffin co-host.
Now you're blocking the sign, Nathan. You see, you're rusty. Move over, man.
You're making fun of me because I'm fat, aren't you?
No, you're rusty.
Yeah.
You're rusty, Nathan.
You're making fun of me because I'm fat.
Alright,
you see what I go through here?
Nathan is finally back with us on the Debate Mates after a long absence.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, again, we can't get the three of us together as Jack is out of town. But the two of us are planning on getting together Wednesday. Hopefully Nathan will be there.
Hopefully.
And then also on Saturday, as you guys know, we like to do videos at least once every Saturday. At most once every Saturday. So, enough with the introduction that Nathan screwed up. So
you know what? Hey. No. Stop.
Okay, let's get into something that's probably been the craziest week in the NBA for a very, very, very long time. And I'm not talking because we've had some great games or great scores. This is just some great drama right now. And let's get into it with our first huge trade of the NBA season, and what might not be our only big trade. And that is Kristaps Porzingis traded to the Dallas Mavericks. There's a lot to unpack here.
Yes. So for all of you who don't know, I believe, what day was it when he got traded? Was it Friday?
It was Thursday. I believe.
Thursday he got traded. Like an hour before the trade, he stated that he didn't want to continue with the organization and he would like a trade. An hour later, he was traded to Dallas along with Courtney Lee, Hardaway Jr., Trey Burke, and I believe a pick or two, or maybe Mavericks got a pick. And the Mavericks traded away. Who they traded away?
DeAndre Jordan,
Dennis Smith Jr.,
Wesley Matthews,
and a pick. Yeah. Okay. So Matthew, who do you think won this trade?
It's kind of hard to tell because the Knicks. We want to sign KD is not a plan. That's not
a good thing. I think people are really underestimating about this trade is that when you trade Kristaps and you trade Tim Hardaway and you trade Courtney Lee and Trey Burke, they had originally about $30 million in cap space they could give a max player next year. Now are going to have close to $76.4 million in cap space, which could be used for two max players. So really, we won't really for certain know who won this trade until the off season, because if the Knicks can go out there and sign, I don't know, somebody like KD is probably the number one priority, and Kyrie Irving, I think they definitely won the trade.
Yeah. So the much more glamorous side to this trade is definitely the Mavericks side.
Getting Porzingis.
So Mark Cuban has come out and said that Porzingis is probably not going to play at all this season. They're going to shut him down. But Hardaway is
solid.
He could be like the Danny Green in the Raptors Spurs trade from the summer where everyone just focused on DeMar DeRozan and Kawhi Leonard, but then Danny Green came in and has been a really solid contributor with the Spurs.
Yeah, very true.
Or not with the Spurs, the Raptors. Hardaway Jr. is putting up 19 points a game. Not a very efficient shooter, but still a scorer, and that's going to be very beneficial. I think
it's an upgrade from Wesley Matthews.
I agree with that. Yeah, and he's a lot younger. Porzingis and Luka Doncic, they have the same timeline, and really, Luka Doncic is the best player out of both of these teams, I think. And pairing him with Porzingis is going to be deadly if Porzingis comes back and is what we think he is.
Yeah, if Porzingis comes back, maybe better, or at least like a little bit close to what he was, maybe the same. Oh, good God. I think that could possibly make Mavericks the contenders, don't you? At least for a 7th or 8th seed until they can get some other pieces.
Yeah, they definitely would need more, I think.
Yeah, they would need, aside from Tim Hardaway, they don't really have a solid or like a very glamorous guard for their backcourt. I think now their starting point guard is going to be J.J. Barea.
He's out for the whole year.
Oh, never mind. Who else do they have?
They have Devin Harris.
I guess they have Trey Burke now and Courtney Lee.
Yeah.
See, yeah, when I hear those names, I'm just not like, ooh, that's gonna be an impressive backcourt. That's not an impressive backcourt.
Right.
That honestly hurts the Mavericks for this season a little bit.
I think it does too.
But there's an upside to this, and that might help them secure a better draft pick.
I think this is gonna help them long term. Especially as you mentioned, if we get the same Porzingis that we got in years past. because he and Luka Doncic both look like they could be top 10 players in the league one day,
Yeah.
and potential MVP candidates.
Especially Luka. Luka's
Yeah.
been playing phenomenal. Rookie of the year, no question. I don't think anyone's debating that.
So we've talked about both sides of this trade. Now I want to go back over to the Knicks side real quick. So if you're Kevin Durant or you're Kyrie Irving, isn't the biggest plus about the Knicks wanting to play with Kristaps Porzingis?
Yes, because a young rising star who I believe is only 21, 22,
Something like that, yeah.
23 years of age. That was definitely the pull for them, and now that that's gone,
I mean, other than the location, they don't really have anything to offer. There's definitely no chances of them contending
no.
for a championship.
But this is a tank season because they want Zion if they can get their hands on him. I think that's what you're aiming for, tank as best you can. But let's look at the pieces they receive back. They get a pick, all right? DeAndre Jordan's on a 1-year deal, so he might leave. Wesley Matthews is on a 1-year deal. He's leaving. I think Dennis Smith Jr. has 2 more years left in his contract. So you at least get him and you get a pick. The only upsides I see to the Knicks now is, of course, Madison Square Garden, the history, getting to play in New York. Like Kyrie grew up in, I believe, New Jersey, in that area. So that would be a pull. Aside from the large amount of cap space, they can get max contracts if KD and Kyrie were to come. But then there's a downside to that, too, where you don't have enough to build around them.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that I believe all championship teams have in common, which is why I'm kind of doubting the Warriors this year a little bit, only because if you can have as many stars as you want on that starting lineup, but you need some bench depth. And the Knicks have, like, no real bench depth. Even if they add Kyrie and KD, they don't have enough money to go sign, like, a solid bench player. Or, because, like, you might have, Enes Kanter's in trade talks, too, so that's like your other center. He's okay. I don't know. You'd want to go get somebody better.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
You mentioned they really want to get Zion Williamson.
Yes, I
for
think
a star
everybody
like
does.
Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They're looking for more than Zion Williamson, I think, and the team that they're going to spend, who knows, maybe the rest of their careers, because both of them aren't old players by any means, but definitely rising. KD and Kyrie both still in their prime, but
Yeah.
KD 30. Kyrie, I believe, definitely younger. I know that 26,
27, maybe 28, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of I'm kind of doubting the Knicks right now because some could argue that this is one of the best moves that they made in a very long time because it's the biggest risk they've taken.
Yeah, you can argue back and forth. There's always that risk when a superstar asks for a trade. AD, you need to trade him so he doesn't walk. But they don't have to. The Knicks had to worry more than the Pelicans had about AD because they still have him under contract next year.
Yeah.
So of course you could always pull a Kawhi, you know what I mean, and not play that year. I mean, I know he was hurt, but he didn't want to come back when he was cleared. I think the Knicks, in my opinion, are out of contention. I think there's a team. I don't think we're talking about this next year that's going to have a lot of cap space for 2 players. And is a little more pull. It's also in a historic area, though it's not the most historic team in that city. And I think the Clippers have a lot to offer. Because Kawhi stated he wanted to play in L.A., but he never stated he wanted to play for the Lakers. And the Clippers, they could also potentially sign KD. Because there were talks KD might go to the Lakers. But I think those two and the Clippers would make it very interesting. Because you also have a rising star and one of my favorite players right now, Tobias Harris. You have Lou Will, but you don't know how much longer you're going to have him. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's been playing solid. So I think there's a lot more pull to L.A. Is there any city, in your opinion, this offseason that might be able to attract all-star talent that we're not talking about, really?
Not that I can really think of. I'm not sure the cap situations for a ton of the teams. But
certain teams
let's say,
OKC and Trailblazers are they might be interesting, but they don't have the cap space to offer any real big contract. So
I mean, I could see a team, and like I said, I don't know cap situations, but like a team like the Raptors, I could see them.
Yeah, but you'd want to see
talent.
That's another situation. You want to see if Kawhi actually stays.
Yeah.
If Kawhi wins a championship, I don't think he might stay. But like my friend who's a Raptors fan was pointing out, he was like, "What do you mean Kawhi's not going to stay? He bought a house in Toronto." And I said,
He also bought a house in Was it not Nevada? Or it might have been Nevada.
He buys it
Or it's San Diego. San Diego.
just because he buys a house. Maybe he didn't want to live in a hotel.
Yeah.
Maybe he just wanted a house to live with his family there real quick. You know what I mean? So that I don't know if Kawhi's a go to stay in Toronto. And if that is the case, Toronto's in for a world of hurt. Because if I'm them, I'm tearing the whole show down, just like I think they should in Washington. Get rid of Kyle Lowry because he's old and past his prime. And just tear the whole house down. Maybe you can use Danny Green, but he's older too, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah.
You can build around Pascal Siakam, who's been playing pretty good this season. OG Anunoby, in my opinion, is taking kind of a downturn. Like, I'm not saying this is why, but you should look at the. Have you seen the new 2K ratings?
Yeah.
Siakam's like an 84, and Anunoby's a 74. Oof. But now we got off topic. That's my bad.
Yeah.
So, besides Toronto, any other cities you're thinking about? Is Boston a contender to sign somebody?
No, I don't think so because they have a lot of free agents at the end of the season. They have Kyrie,
Tatum.
and Will.
No, Tatum's next season.
Tatum. Yeah. They have Kyrie, Horford, Terry Rozier.
I think Terry Rozier's gone, bro.
Yeah,
I think Kyrie might be.
The only player that I think could re-sign with him is Al Horford, and he's not really said anything about what his plans are in free agency. He's obviously not one of the most glamorous guys that's going into free agency.
No, he's a very some people might see him as bland, but only because kind of like how they saw Tim Duncan because he's just big Mr. Fundamentals.
And he's kind of overshadowed by the KDs and the Lowry, or not Lowry, Irving,
the big
Kawhi,
men,
Clay, all of them.
The big men who can shoot.
Yeah,
he can shoot kinda. He's worked on his 3-point shot. It just looks really ugly.
Yeah,
but I don't know. He's definitely, in my opinion, not the Celtics' center of the future. Because he's already like 30-something, 33, 34. All right, so I think we've gotten past the Kristaps trade. Leave down in the comments below what do you think, and if you have any insight that you would like us to know. I think we should move on to our next topic, which is, Matthew, you'd like to introduce this one?
This one is arguably crazier than what we just talked about, which is pretty hard to believe considering that trade came out of nowhere. And that is, earlier this week, Anthony Davis, it was last Monday, so less than a week ago. Anthony Davis requested a trade from the Pelicans. Obviously, the leading contender, as most of you have heard, is the Los Angeles Lakers. Other teams in the mix, Raptors and the Nuggets, have come to the forefront, along with teams like the Celtics, who obviously couldn't trade for him now with a CBA rule, with Kyrie Irving's contract.
Yeah, they'd have to trade, I believe. I think they could trade for him, but I believe they'd have to trade Kyrie, wouldn't they?
That's how it works.
Or they'd have to. Kyrie needs to sign an extension, and he's not talking about signing an extension. He's talking about wait till July 1st, right? July 1st to see what my decision is. Stop asking me because he got really ticked off. Another reason I think he's not coming to the Celtics anymore is because of his dad. Did you see that quote his dad sent out?
That was Anthony Davis's dad.
Yeah, Anthony Davis's dad. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Have you seen that quote?
Yeah, I saw it. All right, so let's talk about the Anthony Davis thing in a little bit more depth right now. So, huge bombshell, obviously. Anthony Davis, I think we all kind of saw this coming. I don't think anyone predicted it to be this trade deadline. I think most people probably didn't even think it would happen in the summer. They thought it would take a while, maybe even.
But do you blame him? He's fed up because you've wasted.
I do blame him for letting the information to get out because he came out and said, "Oh, it's not my fault." The reporter found out and called my agent. The agent said, "Yeah."
Yeah, the fine was chip change for him. 50,000. It's nothing. But I don't blame him because he's just now, in my opinion, entering his prime. Like he's gonna be god tier Anthony Davis soon, and the Pelicans have done nothing to give him talent. Like, really, who's the best talent they put around? They put him around Rondo. Solid. And you could even debate Julius Randle. And Mirotic is okay. He's a solid bench player. But other than that, they didn't go out. I don't think they have the cap space, honestly, to sign, like, big free agent names, big guards. That's their problem. They need some bench depth, too, because that bench is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, so, as we heard from Dell Demps, who's the Pelicans GM, he said, "I'm not picking up the phone right now." And the Lakers have made an offer for him, and we'll get to that.
They've made 5 separate offers. There's
We'll get to the most recent one in a couple of seconds here, but before we get to that, do you think Anthony Davis will get traded by the deadline, by the February 7th?
It depends. I have 2 different opinions here. If they do, I think it would be smart. It's smart both ways. I'm looking at this. The Lakers, you're gonna get some good pieces back. But in my opinion, you wait until the summer because then if you're looking at the Celtics, you're doing what's best for your team. That's what the Pelicans are looking at. In my opinion, the Celtics have way more to offer than the Lakers. We're talking about picks upon picks because we're supposed to have, if everything goes well, the Celtics could have 3 to 4 first-round picks this year, including 2 lotteries. Okay, so that's what you're looking at. You also have stars like Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Terry Rozier that you'd also probably want in the package. I think if I'm the Pelicans GM, I'm looking at both. If you're taking Celtics, if he's going to wait, Tatum is number 1 on my list if I'm the GM. Like, even Tatum said I'd trade myself for Anthony Davis. You probably want from Boston. Is it okay if I give like 2 scenarios I think could work?
Sure.
If you're Boston, I think you ask for Brown, Tatum, Rozier, and 2 first-round picks. Y'all can comment down below if y'all have anything.
Well, if
better.
they're doing it in the
That's
summer, they can't trade Rozier because he'll be a free agent.
That's true. Never
Unless
mind.
they do
So
it.
then maybe 3 picks. If you try to do it before the trade deadline, I want Ingram and Kuzma and Lonzo Ball, and I want picks. I want all your young talent.
Well,
I want you to give me your.
I feel like we're getting in this situation where what is too much for Anthony Davis? Because obviously we
Nothing.
all know he's a star and he's a great player. But let's say he goes to LA and they give up Ingram, Kuzma, Ball, all the guys you just mentioned, and he's unhappy in 2020. He says, you know what, I'm out. So now you got LeBron. He's like 36 years old, and Rondo probably left in free agency. Or you probably have given up Beasley for Anthony Davis as well. Maybe even Lance Stevenson. If not, he's could have re-signed with another
Are you
team.
worried about them not having any bench depth?
Yeah, I'm worried about them not having any depth, even starters. This could turn out horribly for them if Anthony Davis is.
Very true. If he's a 1-year rental
Yeah.
player, that could be bad for them.
And they don't have the same security as the Toronto Raptors. Because if Kawhi Leonard doesn't sign with them, I'm still have a lot of confidence that they'll still be a playoff team because they have great bench depth and they have really solid starters, and we've seen them do well without.
You're going to
Lowry.
see some of those benchers that move up to starters
Yeah.
if Kawhi leaves.
And they do really well without Kawhi Leonard in the lineup.
They did beat the Warriors without Kawhi, which was impressive to me. But Toronto has gotten the first seed, I think, last year too? Over the last decade, Toronto has gotten the first seed a lot, I believe. But that's the regular season. Am I wrong for saying that Toronto never shows up in the playoffs?
No.
Even when they had Lowry and DeRozan, who would always play phenomenal in the regular season, couldn't cut it in the off season. And now you have Kawhi Leonard who can pull that off, but I still don't think. I think everybody else chokes around you. You get a situation like last year when the Bucks played the Celtics. What?
I'm just laughing because we were talking about Anthony Davis 30 seconds ago.
I know we'll get back to it. Okay, you have this situation like Giannis had where everyone around you chokes, and Kawhi Leonard I don't think can pull that weight by himself, especially if you're playing somebody like Milwaukee, who definitely is in contention, or somebody like the Sixers. I always get back to Anthony Davis. Sorry, I was just going off on a tangent, but
Alright, so-
I understand what you're saying. It
Yeah.
could be a humongous risk, but the bigger the risk, the higher the reward. And Anthony Davis
that
is.
depends.
I think so. Anthony Davis is a generational player, so you do trade the house away for him. And he said his agent, Rich Paul, which is the same agent as LeBron James, said that he's not really considering any other place besides LA. He wants to play in LA with Bron. They had that whole dinner. They sat down and they were talking. He was probably
Well,
recruiting
wasn't
him.
Paul George not thinking about anything else other than the Lakers until he joined OKC?
That is also
I'm
very true.
thinking of a lot of situations where guys have said one thing and then done the other thing. Anthony Davis said he wanted to be a Pelican for life not too long ago. Kyrie Irving said he wanted to be a Cav. Kawhi Leonard wanted to be a Spur for the rest of his career. And now
They're all gone.
everything can change in a heartbeat.
Well, yeah,
don't
definitely.
know
If Lakers
worth
take
it.
this risk and it proves out to be costly,
We could see
They're
if
screwed.
if they mess this up, they could be rebuilding for the next decade.
yeah, you could possibly see that. I don't know. It depends on what you're thinking. It depends on how the Lakers are saying this right now. If it's worth it trading all this young talent.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read off the potential trade package right now with the Lakers are willing to give up. Kuzma, Ball, first round pick, Rondo and Beasley. That's
I don't take that.
that's crazy.
Kuzma and Ball in the first, yes.
Yeah.
100%. Because Ball can be something.
I
Ball
agree.
has everything together except for his shot. If Ball had a better shot, he'd be a solid top 10 point guard. Because he's oversized. He's 6'6", I believe, and he's got very similar skills to Magic.
He's
I'm
a
not
great
comparing
defender.
him to Magic. Great defender, great passer, great rebounder. But Rondo, who's basically probably going to retire within the next couple of years. Beasley is, in my opinion, a humongous bust. He's young-ish, but he has not shown the potential that he was showing in college. So, disagree with that trade. What is a trade that you think would work?
That the Pelicans would.
Yeah, that the Pelicans would say, yes, we're going to do this.
Kuzma, Ball, Ingram,
All three. You gotta
picks,
give-
Rondo, and Beasley, I guess. I don't know, because obviously you're not throwing LeBron in.
No, obviously.
I don't think Lance Stevenson
But
is
everyone
gonna
else
give
is
them the
fair
fight.
game. Everybody else.
I mean, if Zubac has been thrown around, I think that could potentially maybe
Yeah, because you're going to need a big
help
man.
them sway or help them decide to do it. Maybe the Pelicans are asking for so much, and the Lakers, if they need to give up Kuzma, Ball, and Ingram for Anthony Davis, I'm not doing it.
Well, then we get to another interesting point. If this is scaring off people like Boston and LA and Toronto, then you may have to trade him for a lot less.
Yeah.
Because you get to the situation, in that case, it won't be this season or off season. They could just keep him contractually until they find an offer they like. But you could see something towards next season where during the trade deadline, it's like, okay, we got to get something for him. Whatever you get is not going to be the same. Okay,
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Kawhi. You got DeRozan and Pirtle, but it's not the same as having Kawhi Leonard. So you might just have to trade him for a lot less than you're expecting, and then that sucks because teams know that. It's like you're desperate to get him out of there, so he doesn't walk, and you get nothing for him.
But there really hasn't been a huge star traded in my generation. I've been an NBA fan for probably the last, I'm 13, so probably the last 5, 6, 7 years. And I've never really heard of a big top, arguably top 3 player in the league getting traded, and that doesn't really happen much. So maybe I'm just not used to seeing trades like this, so I'm a little more stingent on giving things up. Or maybe I just don't think it.
I know what you're thinking about. At the end of the day, you're thinking about depth, and you're thinking about depth overall and what you could lose potentially if you give the whole house away for one player. The closest thing in your generation, I think, that would have been like an incredible trade, but it never went through. This one sucks because you look at the hypocrisy of the league in this. Chris Paul to the Lakers to play with Kobe Bryant, but they'll let DeMarcus Cousins sign with the Golden State Warriors.
I think what was I gonna say? Oh, I can't remember right now.
No, there hasn't been really any humongously big trades. Humongous signings up to galore, but no humongous like blockbuster trade.
If LeBron
And the
was,
Kyrie trade,
oh, yeah.
that was a pretty big one.
Yeah, it was. If LeBron was let's say maybe just 30, or like 20, anywhere from 28 to 30, like at least a couple years younger than he is now, I would pull the trigger on the trade because you at least know you got 5, 6, 7 more years of good LeBron James basketball. But at this point, I mean, he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. He did go out with a groin injury that took him a very long time to recover.
But how many times does LeBron really go down with a serious injury? Not many. Okay.
So that's what's concerning me about this one, is it seemed a lot more serious than many others in his career. He missed 18 straight games, I believe, or 17. It's either 17 or 18. So LeBron, obviously, like I said, doesn't look like he's slowing down, but you don't know how many more years left you got of him.
Like prime LeBron James?
Like the LeBron he's playing like right now could last 3 to 4 or 5 maybe years. I think.
Well, you also have to account for the fact that he started out of high school.
Yeah.
Like Kobe retired when he was 36, right? Or 38. 30. Because did he spend 20 years with LA? It was 20, so 38. Yeah, well, he was actually 17 during the draft, but that's not the point. All I'm saying is, if we're counting that, prime LeBron James, we look at prime Kobe and compare a little bit. This year and next year are his last prime years.
You think that?
Yes, this year and next year would be his last prime years because this year he's turning 34. Right?
I believe he's already 34.
Is he already 34? And then maybe when he hits 35, he might still have a little prime in him. But once he starts hitting that 36, 37 range, you see a decline, kind of like with Kobe.
Yeah.
Okay, it might not be a humongous decline, but it might be a steady decline.
And LeBron's got a lot more wear and tear on his body than Kobe. I realized Kobe went to all the NBA finals and conference finals. But he didn't do anything close to what LeBron is pulling off. I think his last 7 finals have.
Kobe played a lot on the perimeter. LeBron likes to go in, likes to play inside the paint.
Yeah.
And try his luck because he's never been that great of a perimeter shooter. I will commend him for the better 3-point shooting this season.
So anyways, back to the point of if LeBron were a lot younger and you knew you had a lot of years left in him, I would be more willing to give up a lot of younger players because you'd still have that attraction of, hey, you can come play with LeBron James. And
LeBron
play
James is
4 more
LeBron
years.
James, no matter what age he's at. I'm sorry. So if I'm the GM,
It was like
of
what happened
Lakers-
with Kobe. You could say the same thing, but Kobe didn't attract Kevin Durant or LeBron back then or anybody like that.
That's
becomes the
only
same
because
situation,
of
I think.
the reason was because they didn't have that big of depth. If we're gonna talk Kobe, like think about Kobe's last couple years. You had some okay young talent, right? They didn't attract a lot of people. You actually had decent. Never mind. I don't know why they were so bad. Clarkson's okay. Nance is okay. They've turned out. But you did have Julius Randle. D'Angelo Russell, why? I love D'Angelo Russell. Him and Julius Randle should have been 2 you did not get rid of. Think about that core right now. You could have Julius Randle, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, D'Angelo Russell, and LeBron James. You know how much better the Lakers would be right now?
A lot better.
Yeah. So, good Lord.
All right.
That's going to be the star of AD gets traded, though. Julius Randle is the new star of the
Well,
Pelicans.
Jahlil Okafor's been playing really well.
Yeah, I did not expect him to
Yeah.
play good at all.
So, we talked about the potential trades, and now we hit on this a little bit earlier, but we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about this before we go on to the All-Star game snubs and
We're talking about
rosters.
2019 free agency?
Yep.
Let's talk about the big stars. Who are the big stars this next upcoming
We got
offseason?
all the Ks, Kyrie, KD, Chris Middleton, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard. I think there are 2 others that are not coming to my mind right now.
There's a couple.
Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Klay, Kawhi, Chris. Okay. I'm not sure the other 2, but I'm pretty sure I saw there's 7 huge
there's
ones. But
multiple ones.
either way, there are a huge amount of free agencies that we could see moving around this offseason.
Mm-hmm. That
And
might
this,
be a fun game. It's not necessarily a game, but to play. Like, where do you? I call it. Where do you think they'll most likely go? So we can get into that a little bit. Like, I'll throw you a name, you throw me a name. Let me start. KD, where's the best play for him? If you're
the best play? Or,
the best place. Like, if I'm KD, who's gonna give me the most money and who's gonna surround me with the most talent?
If I'm KD, I'm sticking with the Warriors.
You're sticking with the Warriors?
Yeah, like
But-
he might, if he goes to New York, he might go into the James Harden spotlight where he does everything, and I think we could see him pull off the same thing if he were in the same situation as
But
Harden.
also, you have something to think about the Warriors. There's a reason KD has said, I don't know if you saw this quote, I'm going wherever the money's
takes
best.
me.
Yes, wherever the money takes
The
me.
Warriors can offer
The
him a
Warriors
max
are not
contract.
going to have enough money. That means the Warriors are losing somebody.
They're willing to go.
You're
They're willing to
giving-
pay the luxury tax with the new arena they're opening. Their owners are.
Yeah, but then you get into a
Rich,
sticky
rich.
situation where you're like the OKC Thunder trying to keep all these people there, and you're $300 million over the luxury tax, and you can't sign any big name free agents anymore.
I think the Warriors are gonna hold on to both of them.
You think so, KD
Yeah.
and Steph?
KD and Clay.
You think KD and Clay?
Yeah, Steph's not a free agent for a couple more years.
Okay. Well, Steph is the heart and soul of that team, so I don't think he goes anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think maybe you can sign KD, but come on, Draymond's gone. I don't think Boogie sticks around. I think Boogie might go play. He might go play for his hometown, which is Washington, and KD's hometown is
Well,
Washington.
But Draymond Green is not a free agent until after this season.
Yeah, but there's always a possibility of trade. All I'm saying is this may be the last season of this Warriors dynasty. Is all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, I'd like to. That's one I'd like you to talk about too. Where Clay goes.
I think he's sticking with Golden State.
You think he stays with Golden State?
Yeah, I don't see him leaving.
I say he goes and plays with somebody. I've said this multiple times. Where do I think Klay Thompson goes?
Didn't you say the Hornets?
No, I said the Bucks.
Oh yeah.
Put a perimeter shooter like him, and maybe hope they sign Chris Middleton back with Giannis. I think that's dangerous. Also, there's talks of Hassan Whiteside being traded to the Milwaukee Bucks still.
Yeah.
I don't know what trade would work for that. I don't know who the Heat would want back.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So let's get to the biggest the biggest set of news for free agency markets, which is Kyrie Irving, who has been a little Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde recently. He's like, if you want me, it said to the Boston fans on, I think it was Media Day, if you want me, I'll have you. Or
Which basically means pay
if
me.
you want
Are you willing
me,
to give me
you
the
can have
max?
Then he said, most recently he said, ask me July 1st where I'm going. I don't owe anybody anything. So let's get into that real quick, and then we'll go to the All-Star game snubs. Just on a one-word answer, and then the city you think he'll play for. Does Kyrie Irving stay with Boston?
No.
And where's he going?
New York. Seriously.
I wonder
What
if
other team? What other
he
teams
and
in the
KD have
contention?
already talked about it and said, "Yeah, we think we're gonna go team up in New York together."
It's possible. Who said Kyrie teams up with Kevin Durant? Who
Could be
said-
any of them.
there's a
Kawhi.
bunch. I think we need to talk about one more free agent.
Okay.
This one is interesting to me because I don't know if he re-signs or not. Kemba Walker.
He's not a free agent yet.
Is he not?
No.
I thought he was this season. When is he a free agent? Next year?
I think so, yeah.
I'm trying to think because I play NBA 2K a lot. When is it? Is it the next season he's always available?
I
Is
think
he
so.
with the class like Tatum and all them? Because Tatum's free agent next year.
Wait, what?
Tatum's a free agent next year.
Yeah, but they weren't drafted in the same year.
No, I'm talking about who's all in the
Oh,
class
oh.
of free agents next year.
I'm not 100% sure. I just
Well, you know,
didn't
let's
know-
talk about him anyway. He might be a free agent, but he re-signed with the Hornets.
I think they should trade him by then.
You think so?
Yeah.
Where do you think he goes?
I think it's too early to tell right now. He could go anywhere.
There's no team you think that will maybe in contention, but also have some
Oh,
things to give up.
I could see maybe him going to the Bucks. I don't know. You have to work something together to get him.
Well,
And he doesn't have quite the star power as Anthony Davis, so you wouldn't have to throw in as many players.
I got a perfect spot for him.
Mhm.
No, this is just be me. But
Celtics.
let's just say this. Let's just humor me for a little bit. Kyrie leaves, right?
Mhm.
Okay. You sign maybe a couple. You sign Horford back. Maybe try to get Rozier back.
Yep.
Try to piece something together.
Mhm.
Next season, Kimba is in his prime now and wants to play for a contender. What's to say he doesn't sign with the Celtics?
Well, what are they signing Terry Rozier to? What type of contract are we talking?
Oh God, that's if I'm Celtics. I don't try to give him. I'm not giving him more than like 12 mil a season.
Free agency is the most fun thing about the NBA, arguably besides the games.
Yeah,
But
'cause you
money
don't know
is the
what-
most boring thing about the NBA. Like, I'm a huge NBA fan, but even I don't have the attention span to look at everybody's contract and like
Oh, you
write
don't.
down the cap space of every team. It's,
I'm the opposite. I love looking
it's
at
so
that
tedious
stuff.
for me.
Like freaking when you consider how lopsided and how stupid I think NBA franchises are. How in their right mind are the Memphis Grizzlies paying I think a 3 or
Conley?
4 year contract? No, Parsons.
oh yeah,
A freaking like he's making more than Kyrie Irving. And then even in my team, I'll come at my team. That Hayward deal.
oh yeah.
That was a lot
Well,
for Hayward.
Well,
Before
he
the
was
injury.
good. He was good.
He was good before the injury, yeah. But I'm just saying, even then, he's not LeBron James. He's not Kevin Durant, even before the injury.
He's another player they could throw in for a potential Anthony
Yeah.
Davis trade. All right, so let's get to the final thing, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
The All-Star game, all rosters were announced. For the East, we have Kyrie, Kawhi, Embiid, Giannis,
And
and Kemba, as we already knew. And then we got Chris Middleton, Bradley Beal, Kyle Lowry, Blake Griffin, Vucevic,
Russell.
Russell West,
Replacing
D'Angelo
Victor
Russell,
Oladipo.
who's replacing Victor Oladipo, and we got Ben Simmons.
And
then
D-Wade, honorary.
on the legend.
And on West, we got the starting lineup, my man LeBron James, Paul George, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, James Harden. I mean, that makes sense to me. Westbrook is the reserve. We got Westbrook, Dame, Clay, Anthony Davis, LaMarcus Aldridge, Cat, Karl Anthony Towns, Jokic, and then honorary person Dirk.
Yeah.
So let's go with you. I think we're gonna do this. Okay, hear me out. What's one All-Star from each conference you think? Well, what's one snub from each conference?
All right, so
What do you think's a snub?
even
from
though
the
he
West?
made it, I think D'Angelo Russell got snubbed from a starting role. I think he deserved it over a guy like Lowry, but obviously you'd give it to Lowry because his record is so good
Yeah.
with the Raptors. But out of someone that didn't make it for the East, I don't think Jimmy Butler was a snub. He's had a fairly good season, 19 points per game, and is with a great team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't really see him as that larger snub. The East doesn't have as many snubs, in my opinion.
My
But I'm
snub is
blanking
basically
right now.
Russell. I think I have one more that I can't think of right now, but Russell. I would have had him over
Yeah.
Depot. I'd have Russell over Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry is okay. I've
Yeah.
never liked Kyle Lowry. He's not even in my top 10 point guards.
I mean, you could argue Eric Bledsoe is a snub. I don't really see that.
I don't argue Eric Bledsoe's a snub. Sorry, Bledsoe, but you've never been
All right,
All-Star.
here, I'll do 0 snubs for the East because I think they got that one pretty
close
down
because
pat.
the East is a lot weaker. So this is basically your stars right here. For
And
the
then
most
I'll
part.
give 2 snubs for the West. Luka Doncic got snubbed, in my opinion. I think he could have. All right, I have expressed my my dislike for Westbrook before, not necessarily as like a player, but not really as a player, but as like how he is as a star, like if he's a star, and I think he's really good, but I don't necessarily think he deserves to be an All-Star this year. He's putting up triple-double number. He's averaging triple-double, which I think is kind of deceiving because
I
he
put
does
him in the
such
same
low
category
efficiency.
as Melo, and here's why: there are just players that you play with and they make you better. There are some players, hell, you can even add LeBron James in this because Caleb was a star and then he kind of got undershadowed. But it makes sense. Like Melo, Westbrook, these guys need the ball to be the first option to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think it can be toxic to the team. And you had Melo and Russell on the same team last year. Oh, my freaking God.
Yeah. So,
So,
aside from
I agree.
Doncic, my other snub is you can take your pick. Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell. I'd say either one of those two should have made it. And I mentioned this to Jack last week before we recorded. I said, all right, so put Donovan Mitchell on the Warriors. Donovan Mitchell keeps the same stats he has. Klay Thompson keeps the same stats he has. We'd give the nod to Donovan Mitchell because he's on the Warriors, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of unfair that we're just giving it to Klay because he plays for the dynasty that
At least
is
he
the
didn't give it
Warriors.
to Draymond this year.
Yeah, I think Donovan Mitchell, you could argue, deserved it over Klay. I think Doncic deserved it over Westbrook. And then if you were to put Gobert in there, you could throw him in over Aldridge, in my opinion. But I think they got it down pretty good. Tobias Harris is another
decent.
snub. You could
That's
argue.
the one I'm talking about. One of my favorite players. Tobias Harris has been playing off the wall this season
Yeah,
for
but
the
who does he
Clippers.
deserve it over? Out of
Oh, in
front-
the West?
Yeah.
All right, this may be controversial, guys. I'm going to keep Dirk and D-Wade only because their last seasons. Like, let's humor them. Let's cheer for them. I'm taking out LaMarcus Aldridge. I'm sorry. I'm taking out LaMarcus Aldridge. I'm pretty sure the Clippers have a better record than the Spurs right now. Tobias Harris is averaging more points.
The Clippers have a worse record. They're
Does-
the 8th
do
seed.
they have a-
Yeah,
oh.
the Spurs are 6th seed.
Spurs are actually in. Okay, that one surprised me. I'm gonna be for real with you. Like the Spurs, like DeRozan and Aldridge. I don't like Aldridge as much. He's very He's just one of those players that's boring for me to watch. I just don't like watching him. Tobias Harris though has been playing out of his mind, and he's still fairly young.
Yeah,
So-
I think they should do it eventually where they just do the 24 best players in the league.
Yeah.
And then we'd probably see Tobias and Donovan Mitchell and Luka Doncic make it over guys like Vucevic and D'Angelo Russell, Kyle Lowry. All right, so
Another snub, I
Yeah.
think. This is probably gonna be biased too. You probably already know what I'm talking
you're gonna
about.
say Jason Tatum.
Where's my man Tatum at?
He hasn't played that great.
He's been playing good though. He's been playing solid.
It's not called the
But
good
then I
game.
guess
it's
I
called
look
the
at-
All-Star game.
Look, hey, he's been all-star. He's better than Lowry. Lowry, hey, can I get in the camera? Lowry sucks.
No,
Lowry sucks. No, man, don't hate, man.
Tatum's pretty good, but he is definitely not All-Star caliber.
Also,
Not yet.
I don't like Ben Simmons. I know he's an all-star, but I just don't like Ben Simmons
Yeah.
because once you take away his paint, he's garbage. He had a
But no one's been
1-point
able
game.
to do that yet, other than
The Celtics did it last year. He had that 1-point game. It's because you clog up the defense in the paint and make it harder for him to get down in there. And then he's got to rely on scoring from the outside, which he can't do. He cannot shoot from the perimeter. He's only attempted, 1 3? Or is it more? Because last year he attempted like 1 3. Like, he's not a good perimeter shooter.
All right, so before Nathan goes up on another rant, we're going to end it here.
I'm passionate.
So, I hope you all enjoyed our 10th episode of the Debate Mates. Hopefully, in the next couple of years, we can add a couple more zeros to the end of that.
Hell yeah, man. We are going to.
So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Tell your friends to watch. Tell your family
Can
to
I
watch.
say something?
Yes.
I want to start doing a thing if you don't mind. We're going to leave our viewers off with a question. And I want to see some answers. Comment about anything in this video, by the way. You can comment about anything. We want to hear your feedback. If there's any games you want us to play or anything. But here's there's a rumor been going around that wants to change how the playoffs are. I want to know who. I like this idea. Should we keep the system of 8 and 8 from each conference? Or should we switch to the 16 best teams? And see, because that would make for more interesting matchups. You'd have a similar to a college, so the first seed playing the 16th seed, and all that jazz. Like, let us know if you think that'd be a good idea and a reason why.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're good now.
All right, so yep, that will wrap it up for this episode. We'll be back again on Wednesday. So, look out for that episode, or subscribe, comment, like, tell your friends, tell your family. So, I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.